All right. What's going on, guys? My name is Gavin. So I just wanted to do a meet recap, an overview of 2021 Raw Nationals. It was one hell of a ride. I met a lot of great people. I made a lot of great experiences and memories. So I'm going to break this video up into three specific parts. The first is going to be me talking about leading into the meet. So what was going on in my life? What were some of the things I had to deal with? Some changes of plans, so to speak. And then kind of dive into the meet itself and talk about the lifts and all that stuff, some of the decisions that were made. Part two is going to be about future plans, what's coming up, when's the next meet, what are some of the goals. And then part three is going to be the Q&A that I opened up on Instagram. I asked some of you guys if you had any questions, any concerns, anything that you wanted to know or wanted me to talk about. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to cover. All right, so let's not waste any time. Let's just dive right into it. And here we go.
Stick around long enough and watch the lanes switch sides. Just hit my stride, yeah, I'm on my right. I try to please them.
All right, so I guess the best way to kick things off is to talk about meet week. So leading up to meet week, I had a lot going on. My sister was graduating that week and she had her prom, so I had to drive her around a ton. So I was doing like a ton of like little trips here and there throughout the week. That plus training and stuff like that. It was a little bit high stress and, I didn't really get a ton of sleep. But honestly, that stuff really wasn't that big of a deal. I was still able to eat well and all that. But really when things started to get rough was on Thursday. So I had my sister's graduation on Wednesday, which meant I couldn't fly out. I couldn't fly out before Thursday, and I competed Friday, so which kind of sucks. Like usually you want at least a day in between travel and competing, but it is what it is. I'm very grateful I got to see my sister graduate high school. It was a beautiful moment for her and for my family, so I'm very grateful to have been there. But anyway, because of that, I couldn't fly out till Thursday. So I wake up Thursday morning. I'm 211, which isn't horrible. I was assuming that my water loading procedure, my water manipulation would, by the time I got to Daytona, I would have peed a lot, I would have whatever, and I would actually be much closer to weight, which is around 205, and and I would be set. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. So I weighed in at around 211 in the morning. I get on my flight. I had to fly from Jersey to Orlando because there's no direct flights to Daytona, and then drive an hour and a half from Orlando to Daytona. So in all, it's somewhere around like 5 to 6 hours worth of travel. I hadn't eaten anything all day, obviously because I wanted to cut everything out to make sure I made weight the next day. So I felt like shit. I was really hungry, and my head was killing me, dude. Like it was throbbing the entire day. It sucked, and I that usually doesn't happen to me when I fly, but for some reason it did. So anyway, I'm in Daytona now, right? I check in, I go up to my room, and I weigh myself. Bro, I get on the scale, and what does it say? 213.8. Dude, my heart sank. Like, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, I'm not supposed to gain weight. I'm supposed to be losing weight. Like, there's no reason. I genuinely had no idea why I had gained weight. No clue whatsoever. It was, and this is my fourth meet. So this Nationals was my fourth meet ever. And I started powerlifting like 2 years ago. So I did States, Nationals, a local meet, and then States. and then this Raw Nationals. So this was my fourth meet. This was my second time cutting. This was my biggest cut. Now I flew alone. Nobody came with me. So it was a little scary because like my head was killing me, and I knew I was going to have to cut with a sauna and spinning, and I knew I was going to get lightheaded and all that stuff. So I knew it would be extra dangerous and whatnot. So all in all, like when I saw 213.8, I was like, fuck, dude. And in my mind, I just had a switch. I was like, well, I'm committed. I'm fucking here. And I came here to win. So I'm not going to back down now. So I just went for it. I ended up getting some egg whites and stuff in my system. And then I started my cut, dude. So basically what I ended up doing was using my hotel's bathroom. I cranked the steam. I cranked the heat on the hot water. Waited like I was in there while it was heating up. So I didn't start sweating right away. But it probably took like a solid 30 minutes for it to get really hot, but then I stayed in that fucking thing for at least an hour and a half for my first session. Like just drenched in sweat, dude. I was lightheaded and stuff. I was starting to get a stuffy nose, dude. It was so painful, bro. Like it sucked, but it was gonna get worse. So I was in there for like an hour and a half, right? cutting water, like swiping sweat with a credit card and stuff like that, like all the tricks and shit. And I weigh myself, lost a few. I keep doing that, right? Fast forward, that was from like 5. So I basically was in that like little makeshift sauna from 5 p.m. to like 10 p.m. Now I got lucky because they had the calibrated scale that they were going to use for nationals downstairs in the hotel. So I was able to use the real scale to figure out where I was at. All right. So 10 p.m., I go to bed at like 2:09. Like I was weighing about 2:09. I was like, please God, like please let me wake up close enough to weight or at weight. Like I need a miracle, right? I couldn't sleep, dude. I was in so much pain. My head was killing me. Like my stomach hurt, sharp pains. My head was throbbing, dude. Like I've never I pushed myself in my training and to the point where pain and all that stuff, but I can deal with that. This was another level of physical pain. Like it was insane, man. It was insane. It was really hard. It was fucking hard, but we did it. We pushed through. With God's help, with the universe's help, we did it. We pushed through. So I woke up at 2:07, went to a sauna at a club fitness gym in Daytona with my boy Cayman, my teammate, who competed as well. And we were in there. We did a couple sessions in the morning. That was hard, man. That one I really felt lightheaded. Like the last 2 sessions, I was this close to passing out. Like this fucking close. Okay, whatever. Long story short, we hustle over. I make weight. I weighed in at 92.55. All right. So at this point, I'm super dehydrated. Hadn't eaten anything pretty much within the last almost 30 hours. I hadn't eaten anything because I didn't eat anything really the day before, right? Thursday. And I had pretty much all liquid meals on Wednesday. And obviously I wasn't going to eat anything until I weighed in. So yeah, about 30 hours worth where I just had nothing in my system really. All right. So I make weight. I go to sit down and I'm immediately like doing my recomp special, I'm throwing all my ingredients in and, I start chugging and whatever, just trying to get my body up. So part of my recomp, fuel, we'll call it, is pineapple juice, right? Now, the CVS that I went to had no pineapple juice except for one giant metal tin that you need a can opener for. I was like, bro, I'm not going to fucking buy a can opener just for this thing. So I was betting on somebody having a knife. I got lucky, but also kind of unlucky. My boy came in, had a knife. So I was like, yo, I need your knife. I need to pop open this pineapple juice. I pop open the pineapple juice. No problem, right? Just as I'm about to pour it in, these 3 girls come up to us, my coach and I. They see I have a knife and they're like, hey, we have these wristbands. Can you help us cut them off? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, sure, I guess, right? So I go to cut this girl's wristband off, right? And I'm holding the band like this. For some reason, I fucking kept my finger out. I'm cutting it and then boom, I slice through fucking deep right into my finger. Like blood immediately gushes everywhere. There's blood on my bags everywhere. I'm going to the bathroom. My coach is like, oh my God, this kid's not going to be able to lift today, blah, blah, blah. Like it was a fucking mess, a nightmare. The first aid booth, bro, like was in the venue, no lighting whatsoever. All they had was like some sanitizer wipes and Band-Aids. So every attempt, I was like fucking wrapping up my finger because it kept gushing blood. It would like start re-bleeding every attempt. I was using like athletic tape, anything I could, dude. So there was that. That sucked. But yet again, just another obstacle. We adapt and we overcome. So long story short, we moved on. Like I just dealt with it throughout the day. So that was everything pretty much leading up to the meet. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. I mean, the biggest problems was, like flying out the day before. So lots of travel, had a massive headache, no food in me, had to cut 10 pounds of water in a very, very short time period using sauna and spitting, which like I was spitting so much from like Jolly Ranchers and shit like that. My teeth fucking hurt. Like I couldn't chew anything. Like it was, dude, man, I have pushed myself. I said this before, I think. I have pushed myself to insane limits in training, but I have never pushed myself like that in terms of my body's like physical limits. It was nuts, man. It was nuts. So I'm taking my nutrition super seriously, and I'm definitely going to be taking it seriously much further out from the meet because that can't happen again. I'm lucky. I'm blessed that I was able to perform regardless. But dude, man, that was insane. I mean, I refuse to give up. And it's crazy, man, how I got through that. I don't know. With nobody there, like there were multiple times where I thought I was going to faint. So, by the grace of God, man. But, anyway, so let's talk about the meet. So, first attempt, fine. Second attempt, fine. On squats, the bar that we used was a Rogue Ohio Power Bar. I believe it's a black oxide bar. There was a lot of whip with it. Like I was feeling the whip. So it took me 2 attempts to get used to that. But then for my third attempt, we went 722. Now we were going to go 727 or 722. That was the debate. I chose to go conservative. And I still stand by that decision. The reason why was because we were in the lead with the 705 second attempt. But I knew that other lifters that I was competing against could pull for the win, had the potential to pull for the win, were much better deadlifters than I was. And Keiko had a massive bench. So I wanted to get as much ground as I could, and I didn't want to compromise myself. What wins meets. In my opinion, it's not the day to, shoot for the stars, throw Hail Marys. It's a day to execute, perform, and lock things in, all right? Go 9 for 9 if you can. So that was my goal, and I had hit 722 in training pretty easily. Granted, I was on an Elico bar, so there was no whip whatsoever, but I figured, you know what? I can fucking do it. Let's do it. So we take our third attempt, 722. We lock it in, and then we move on to bench. Dude, my water cut really messed with my bench. I was feeling off throughout the day, but I was able to refeed pretty well. And so squats were okay, but bench, man, 485 was all I could do. 485 was hard, and it shouldn't have been as hard as it was. I ended up failing my third with 491. Move on to deadlifts. Deadlifts felt okay. Obviously, I felt pretty shot. I definitely think, I don't want to say the water cut affected my deadlift, but I think it affected my deadlift. I really felt like I had the strength I would have the strength for 750 on pulls if I was fresh, if I didn't have to cut. But because of the cut and stuff like that, it is what it is. We were debating between 734, which is what I pulled, or something a little less. I decided to just go for 734 because I knew that would put me into first place, and it might give me enough distance to really finish it strong and win, right? So that's what we did. And it was a perfect number because, I don't think I had anything left in me on pulls, maybe an extra, 2 kilos or something like that, but that's it. So, yeah, man. And, obviously Keiko ended up pulling for the win. So that's the recap, dude. I'm sure, I don't know if some of you guys want me to talk about, the decision-making process, more strategy and stuff, but to me, a lot of stuff is kind of boring. All in all, it was a really good experience. The biggest lessons learned and the hardest lessons learned happened before the meet. And during the meet, dude, I didn't even realize I was competing until deadlifts, bro. It was moving so fast. It was crazy, man. And it was awesome though to be around people that I've looked up to my whole fucking life, dude. I've been lifting since I was 12. I started powerlifting 2 years ago, but I've been training for years. And way before I started powerlifting, I was looking up to these guys, Ashton Ruska, Jonathan Keiko. I mean, tons of guys. So it was cool. It was really, really surreal. But anyway, yeah. So I ended up placing second in the nation with an 880 kg total, which is 1940 pounds or 1,940 pounds. That was a 50 kg PR since my last meet from last August, which I had totaled 1830 at. And I lost by half a kg to Jonathan Keiko, man. It was a really good fight. And, I'm happy about it because I know a lot of people just didn't even know who I was. A lot of people didn't think I was going to do anything. A lot of competitors weren't worried about me, nothing. I'm a fucking underdog, man, and I love that, dude. I love that. People who know me know that you have the attitude of a champion, but you have the hustle and the mindset of an underdog. Always, always. And that humbles you, man. When you realize you ain't shit, bro. You're still at the bottom. You got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So yeah, man. That's the moral of the story, bro. That's it. Meet went well. Obviously, I'm very disappointed because I truly gave every ounce of myself into this. There was nothing I could have done more. I don't think. I really gave everything I had, and yet it still wasn't enough. And I almost broke down thinking about that. I just didn't have a chance to because as soon as I got off the platform, I had to get drug tested, and then I was taking pictures and all sorts of shit. So, man, dude, it was tough. It was tough to take, but lots of respect for Jonathan. I mean, I can't imagine working your ass off in 2019, winning nationals, and then getting it stripped away, getting the world stage stripped away from you because of COVID, something that's out of your control. So, I'm happy for him, man. And I think this is a good segue into part 2. So yeah, let's hop into part 2. Real quick, this won't take long. Future stuff, there's a slight chance I may still get an invite to Worlds. So 2 years ago when I first started powerlifting, bro, like I had like a 14 something total going into my first meet. My first meet was New Jersey States. I won States with like a 1605 total. But way before I competed, I told myself I was going to be a world champion. I told myself I was going to be a world champion. That vision burns brighter now more than ever. I will be a world champion. And that's not at all to sound cocky or anything like that. I have so much respect and love for all of my competitors, but I will be a world champion. It's that simple. So I really hope I get my shot, man, because I came this close at Nationals, and I'm not going to let that slip away again. I've learned some valuable lessons, and man, dude, when I tell you, I'm hungry, man. I am so hungry for it, and the reasons why I want to be a world champion are not like anybody else. Everybody else is like ego and legacy and history. Like, I want to build a legacy, but that's not why. I want to show the world what's truly possible when you just believe in yourself. You believe in God and you believe in yourself, man. You have faith. You put in the work, but you have this insane vision, this ambition that, other people are going to look at you and be like, are you fucking crazy, dude? Like, you know how many people come up to me now and be like, dude, a long time ago when you told me that you were going to make it and you were going to be, a world champion and you were going to compete at nationals and all this stuff, I was like, oh, dude, okay, yeah, great. I didn't really believe it, but now I believe it. I'm like, yeah, no shit, motherfucker. Like, that's how everybody is. Listen, I'm not in this because it's like, oh, yeah, look at me. I can lift. Like, at the end of the day, it's an inanimate object. We lift weights, bro. Like, that's it. There are people performing heart surgery. There are people losing loved ones. There are people fighting on the front lines. I can't even express to you like how blessed us powerlifters are to be able to focus our training and focus our time on something like lifting weights. So really, that it has nothing to do with ego, man. It has to do with just it's a vehicle, man. Powerlifting to me is my tool to show people, the world, that you are capable of so much more than you could possibly ever imagine. And don't limit yourself based on other people's standards. So that's why I do this. I want to show people that the few people that are daring enough to believe in themselves, I want to be the reason why they believe in themselves. I want them to look at me when they're in doubt, when they don't think they can do it. I want them to look at me and be like, well, you know what? Gavin did it. That means I can do it. That's pretty much it for future stuff. If Worlds doesn't become a possibility for me, then it's just next Nationals. I'll take the whole year to build. I don't care. And that's it, man. That's all there is to it. I have no interest in competing 5 million times a year. I'd rather build, man. I'd rather it sucks, but I'd rather just spend the whole year building a ridiculous total and an undeniable performance and perfecting my ability to execute and perfecting my nutrition and making sure that that's locked in now. All right, let's go to part 3. So as I said before, I did throw up a little Q&A on my Instagram story, asked people to drop in any questions or anything that they wanted me to talk about in this meet recap. So I'm just going to go through some of them now. There's quite a bit here. So I'm only going to pick, let's see, I'll pick this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, let's cover 6 for the sake of time. All right, so what do you think you could have hit on meet day on squat? All right, I'm going to give you 2 numbers. The conservative one, 733, which would have broken the American record. I didn't know that at the time, but it would have broken the American record. The American record is 731, I believe. So 733 conservative, 744 not conservative, like Hail Mary almost. Like a fucking 80-yard pass, 60-yard pass. Maybe not an 80-yard pass, probably more like a 40, but it would be a long pass. Like that would have been something that was 744 would be questionable for sure. That would have been a 22-pound PR, like on my training squat, my training max, which was hit without a water cut or anything like that. So 733 to 744. All right, what's your daily intake looking like in terms of calories and macros? This is why I'm hiring a nutritionist, because I can do nutrition, but just very basic stuff. I try and stay between 2,500 to 3,000 calories. I always keep my protein high. There's never a time when I purposefully lower my protein, ever. So I weigh In my off season, 214 to 215, I try to consume at least 215 grams of protein, anywhere between 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So that puts me at anywhere between 215 to 270, I think, or 250. It's hard to get that much in, but that's the goal. Carbs and stuff like that, I try and have it just be balanced, like with every meal. Carb intake, I try and keep pretty balanced with what I'm having. I try and match what I have with protein, sometimes maybe a little bit higher with carbs. So like really anywhere between 200 to 500 grams of carbs. I don't really know what's ideal for me, but I do know I need to be eating, like I need to be in a relative caloric surplus, to be building. So, I'm okay with taking in 300 to 400 grams of carbs, especially when I'm training hard, especially in the off season when I know I'm burning it. All right. How long have you been competing for? 2 years. My first meet was June 2019, New Jersey States. And so I'm like pretty much like an actual 2 years in. Again, keep in mind, before competing, I had been lifting weights and training in various forms for at least 7 years at the time. Bodybuilding, I trained Olympic lifting out of an academy in Westchester. I did CrossFit for a while, and then I played other sports in high school and stuff. So yeah. Could you have loaded more on the final deadlift to maybe push Keiko to miss his third dead? Great question. Probably not. We had already, like 734 was the higher end choice. Like I said before, man, I don't think I had more than 2 kilos extra, maybe 3 kilos, 4 kilos, but that's it. There's no way I had like an extra 10 pounds on my pull, given how lockout looked and felt. So, I think 734 was a great call. Where I could have made up the distance was on squat. All right. Gaining weight and knowing when to cut. This is a tough question. It depends on what your goals are, man. Like if you're trying to build muscle, strength, increase performance, you got to fucking eat. Most important thing in my opinion is protein and carbs. It's obvious. Like you need to eat. You need to get food in. So in terms of gaining weight, I don't really think of it as like, oh, I need to track and gain weight. Like, no. I have a protein mark I need to hit. I try and balance that out with my carbs. So they're both relatively even. Sometimes my carbs are a little bit higher when I'm trying to gain weight or at least just maintain like this bulk. But really it comes down to the quality of the foods you're eating, like not just the quantity, but really the quality. Like steak and rice is very different than like, pizza and protein shakes, so have more steak and rice. In terms of knowing when to cut, that's again is completely up to you. I mean, if you're competing and you need to know when to cut, you're cutting for the meat. There are various ways to cut. The most dangerous way is a water cut. That's what most athletes do at the elite level. I'm not saying that I'm at the elite level, but I do, water cuts. They definitely are dangerous, but in my opinion, they're way better than just cutting a ton of carbs closer to the meat. However, there are nutritionists out there, dietitians out there who specialize in this stuff, and I'm sure they would rather you cut body fat over a long period of time leading into the meat. That way it makes the water cut smooth, if you even need to do a water cut. So yeah, not the best person to ask about that, but in terms of like knowing when to cut, it would probably be around your goal or your deadline. So if it's not a meet, maybe it's a wedding, maybe it's an event or whatever, that's the deadline. So you need to time that and space that out. Recognize it takes time to cut body fat. If you're not trying to cut body fat and just water, then yeah, you could literally do that the night before, but it's going to be a bitch. All right, we'll answer one more. Did you expect to place as well as you did? Hard to know 100% based on everyone's training. Phenomenal question. I expected to win, bro. I expected to win. Like, I don't compete to participate. It's that simple. And I know a lot of people were talking about like, oh, this is the most stacked class ever. I don't even know I know some people on podcasts were like, I don't even know if Gavin will get, 4th or 5th. Like he maybe will touch a 1900 total, maybe, all this stuff. And in my head, I was thinking 1900, bro, I'm going for 2K. Like the numbers that I wanted for nationals was a 2K total. Or well over actually a 2K total. It was like 2,007 pounds. Man, it's again, I say this as humbly as I can, but I'm not in this to just participate. I'm not in this to lose, man. And you shouldn't be either. Like, I want to fucking win, dude. I want to be the best. And it has nothing to do with beating other people. It has to do with being the best in my standard. I loved the fact that this was the most stacked class ever, in my opinion, like ever. In the history of the 93s, this was the most stacked class in terms of depth. Anybody could have won, honestly. And I loved it because, and I still am very grateful for how hard it was to compete and how hard it was to cut and all this other stuff. Because think about every story you hear about like a hero, right? Like the superhero, right? The knight, like Beowulf, right? The reason why you remember them, the reason why those tales are told is because they had to face the dragon. They had to overcome insurmountable obstacles and challenges. Otherwise, who gives a shit? That's how I viewed myself going into this meet. Like, and again, I say this as humbly as I can, but I viewed myself as the hero. I was like, I'm going to overcome all of these obstacles. Keiko could have a 900 kg total. Dude's so far beyond everybody. Borkert, junior world champ, phenomenal lifter. Chance Mitchell, phenomenal lifter, veteran, knows how to cut well, knows how to perform well, execute, has a phenomenal deadlift. Bob Matthews, phenomenal deadlift. Other lifters, Justin Rogers, super strong lifter. Cameron Smith, who ended up placing third, super strong lifter. I apologize if I'm leaving anybody out, but this is just off the top of my head, like super strong people, insane obstacles, man. Who the fuck am I? You'd honestly have to have half a brain cell to think I was going to place. And so I understand it. But I love that, dude. It was like, this is my opportunity. If there was a time to win, this is it. This is fucking it. When all odds are stacked against me, that's it. I have to show up and prove. And this was it, man. I was to show people, show the young guys, the people coming up, man, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. You just got to fucking work and trust in God, man. Like, bro, I'm not trying to be religious. I'm really not that religious, but I have found my faith in God over time. I've come back, come full circle. But you can like replace the word God with the universe if you want. It doesn't matter to me. I used to pray and like ask, like, look, just give me the power and the strength I need to show the world what's truly possible when you truly believe in yourself, when you have a big dream and you allow yourself to put in every ounce of effort you possibly can, when you sacrifice for it and you suffer for it. People don't like that word, suffer, but that's what's necessary to succeed. There's no shortcuts, bro. There's none. At least I don't believe in them. So I wanted to win. I know this is a long answer to your question, man, but I really fucking wanted to win. And I loved the fact that it was so stacked, so competitive, because what better time to shine than against the people or against competitors that were better than me. Yeah, man. And it's frustrating that I lost, man, because I really did give everything I had into this meet. So to still fall short was heartbreaking, but hey, man, like that lit a fire up under my ass, man. I've never been so excited to train. And it's just comes with the journey, man. But yeah. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. Please always feel free to reach out if there's anything I can help you with. If you're struggling with anything, training stuff or life stuff, doesn't matter, man. Like, we're all humans, we're all people, and powerlifting and training and all of this stuff goes far beyond this. Like, it's about the relationships we build. So always feel free to reach out. Yeah, man, I'm going to be launching the GA training site, gavindaytontraining.com. Hopefully later this week. I've got tons of merch coming out, but also lots of training programs, a membership site. It's going to go along with it. So tons of giveaways and stuff, really cool stuff. So definitely look out for that. Yeah, man. Thanks for tuning in. All right. It's a wrap.
Stick around long enough and watch the lane switch sides. Just hit my stride, yeah.